Good morning. This is Dr. Monica Y. Jackson. I am the visionary and event planner for the M4 Men Message Mission Movement Summit. And I am here with Robert Manolson, all the way from Alberta, Canada. Hi, Robert. How are you today?
Where are you?
I'm in Southern California, in the United States.
Oh, well, we're not too far from one another. We're not too far.
How are you today?
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. On the outside, yes, I'm doing fine. It looks like I'm doing fine, but on the inside, a little bit anxious, a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit uneasy. So I share that with you. So you know where I'm at. So don't always be, wired into how I look on the outside. There might be some other stuff going on in the inside.
Yes, and thank you for sharing that. And, as I was listening to you speak, literally for the first time, one of the things that really struck me is you said starting the conversations. And Robert suffers from anxiety and depression, and he's grown up in that as well. But one of the things he's going to educate us about during the summit is to talk about differences between mental health, mental illness, and a phrase that he coined, which is mental optimization or optimizing. Is that what it was called, Robert?
Mental health optimism.
Optimism. Okay, and it's so funny that he's talking about these things, but one of the areas that he specializes in is mental health in the workplace. As we know, right now, society where people are suffering in silence, but the workplace, you hear about people literally going and attacking people in the workplace and doing things here in the United States. I don't know how it is in Canada. We've heard about, the shootings and all of that. But explain to us why it's so important for leaders in the workplace to have this conversation and start this conversation about mental health.
You used the word suffer. You said in describing me, you said that I suffer, like from mental illness. Why did you use the word suffer?
I say suffer because people feel like they're not being normal in this normalcy. So those who think they are normal and are different than other people are suffering from what's considered normal. And we're trying to fit people into this normalcy instead of embracing differences.
Wow. I need to write that down. That was awesome. That was awesome. The word suffer is, in my experience, like an old school term. And it was a term that was used in my household growing up in an environment where mental illness took place. And we used to say, oh, your father, he's suffering from depression, suffering from high anxiety. Your mother, she's suffering from depression. And so as a young 15-year-old, it was sort of driven into me, there is suffering going on. I'm so happy, Monica, that today we've shifted the language away from suffering to something like living with, managing, and sometimes we even say living with, managing, and coping with mental illness. How do you feel about those terms, Monica?
I actually like them. And the reason why is because we're making it normal. We're accepting it. We're not, and when I said suffering, I think that society, it's a way of oppressing people intentionally. And we're trying to make everybody the same. So when you feel like you're different from somebody else, you do feel like you're suffering sometimes, because you're embarrassed by what you're going through. Why am I not fitting in? Why am not like everybody else? In other words, so why am I not calm? Why am I not happy? What's wrong with me? So in other words, I can't talk about this. So I have to keep these things to myself. And so The suffering in silence is where that comes from,
Okay,
because I
so
can't talk about it. I can't share that this is what's really going on. I can't
oh,
be my authentic self. And what you said earlier was, "This is who I am."
yes,
You
yeah.
know, you said, "This is who I am." So you accept who you are. Explain, how did you get to that point of, "This is who I am"?
It's so much more fun listening to you. I should be asking you the questions. Well, back to the comment about the world of work.
Mhm.
Um, Look, I experienced my first episode, not my first suffering, but my
Mhm.
first full issue
Yeah.
of depression and anxiety in and around the time that I was wrongfully dismissed from an employer.
Mm.
And I'm not sure if one triggered the other, but subsequently, um, the learning that has come out of that is that the world of work can be a place that triggers some emotions on the far end scale of mental health, which is mental illness. And for me, it resulted in uh, episodes of depression and anxiety, high anxiety. So the world of work is not always a pleasant place. And I'm not saying something that most of us don't already know.
Yes.
So just because of that part of my life journey, just that part, there's other parts. I'm highly motivated to get the attention of leaders in the workplace,
Yes.
decision makers, and putting the topic, not the issue, the topic of better mental health on the table and challenging them to work alongside me and their team in starting the conversation. What do you think about that, Monica?
Excellent, excellent job. And I want to tap into something. Earlier today, I saw a post on LinkedIn from one of our speakers from the prior summit, which is the T4 Trials, Triumphs, Truths, and Tears virtual summit. And this individual posted that she had, she was excited because she was pregnant, but also she just got a notice that her job was being eliminated, but she was going into, they put her in a new position, so to speak. So that literally triggers some things. Okay, now I'm dealing with how am I going to take care of this child now that, and how dare these things happen right now. So all of us experience things in the workplace, and I'll just say it and keep it very real. The workplace isn't a loyal place sometimes. Ouch. And sometimes we have to be pushed into purpose, and our
Mm.
pain will push us into purpose and will propel us into doing some things that we should be doing. And I say that because this summit is the direct result of pain that I and many of the men have gone through. And because of that, we want others to find that there's the other side of that pain, and that we can continue to move forward.
Oh
So
my, stop. That's amazing. Listen to that. If you're watching this, you need to listen closely to what you just said. Listen again. That as a result of what transpires, we
mhm,
move into, very naturally, we move to a place of pain, but we're not there forever. We're
yes,
just there for a period of time, and we can move out of the place of pain or the space
right,
of pain into something more joyful, more happy.
yes,
That's
yes,
right. That's everything.
correct,
That,
absolutely,
that's the reason why I think I'm doing what I'm doing. I never thought of it in that way.
yes,
Starting from the pain point and
yes,
saying, let's move to something more joyful and happy. I know that. I just know that just by nature of who I am.
correct.
But you articulated it so well. I need to write this down and start using it.
It's so, I think once you go through a life triggering or a life transformation event, that's when you truly become self aware. Without us going through the things that we have experienced, we would still be in conforming state, doing what others want us to do, being what others want us to be. It isn't until you are triggered or life upsets you that you find out who you really
Oh
are.
my
You
God.
look into yourself, that strength that you have, and we need to start embracing that. And one of the things you said, the outside versus the inside.
Yes.
We walk around with smiles and we're hurting on the inside, or we're not feeling well. Why can't we show up not feeling well? Why can't we cry? And that's what this summit, this M4 summit is about, to show that men have feelings too. Men have no problems with speaking. You know, a lot of women say
Yes.
men have a problem with communicating. No, men do not have a problem with communicating. And by women showing up, when you open a place for them to safely speak and be authentic, you're going to get that real man and you're going to understand that man. So, Robert, any parting comment before we
Yes,
sign off?
yes, yes, yes. Dr. Monica is a mental health optimist. She's a mental health optimist. And what does that mean? Here, very quickly, what's a mental health optimist? We face defeat, we face adversity, and we find ways to deal with it. I'm reading this off a document right now.
Okay.
We choose not to be consumed by our defeats and our adversities, and we surround ourselves with supports and support networks. And quickly moving on, we speak our truth when life doesn't go well. We function in the wacky world of work where challenges will be inevitable. We look for healthy ways to maintain our daily personal wellness. We are resilient. We are our own designated mental health survivors. Monica is a mental health optimist. Wow. I don't need to say anything. I just need to listen to you. I don't always have the language to articulate, my own experiences. I feel that I do, but then when I meet somebody like you who takes it and stretches it and expands on it and has it sound so different, but in a good way, I get excited.
And you know where that comes from, Robert?
What?
That comes from speaking from here and not from here, and not being concerned with what others think about you speaking from here.
I've been wrongfully dismissed from employers.
Me too.
Wow. I thought I
Several
was
times. Several times over. Several times. Several times over.
I thought it was just me.
See, okay, we're going to continue this conversation. My book, Wounds of Wisdom, I wrote that book 2021 as a result of losing all of my contracts, okay, through COVID. In this book, I have one chapter about business wounds, which is all of the things I've gone through as far as my business, workplace wounds, which talks about being unfairly, wrongfully terminated or dismissed because I don't fit in, or I won't conform, or I won't do what's wrong, or be the scapegoat because I'm too outspoken. So I've gone through several of those. In addition to that, there's 7 chapters in the book. There's church wounds, there's family wounds, marriage and divorce wounds, children wounds, and friends wounds. These are all things people can have, we deal with in life. That book was the direct result of what I do and why I do what I do today. That pain and suffering in those 7 areas propelled the T4 Summit as well as the M4 Summit.
I have to apologize. I've been not intentionally, but I've been ignorant. I didn't know that that's what the book was all about. I did not know that.
And how would you know? You don't have a copy of it, so you got to get a copy of it.
And listen, here's a compliment to you. I'm not a reader at all, but I will read your book. I
Yes.
will read your book. I thought I was the only one out there who had, let's see, 1, 2, 5 consecutive wrongful dismissals.
No. And let me tell you this, Robert.
Mm.
I had 5 layoffs in 1 year.
Okay.
5. Count them.
I'm gonna joke around here and say you win, you win, you win.
5.
Oh,
My accountant, when I went to do my taxes, says, "What's the matter with you? You can't keep jobs?"
oh,
Well,
your accountant said that?
well, we're good friends, but
Okay.
you're,
Okay.
you walk into someone's office, and again, you don't see people with 5 layoffs in 1 year. So again, the first thing you think of, what's wrong with you? But even
Yeah.
that response, if I didn't know the person or if I didn't have thick skin, I would have taken it the wrong way. And that could literally damage someone. So we have to be careful in how we speak about people, and how what do we receive from people. So like I said, I totally understand. But one of the things I also want to mention,
Wow.
because the first 40 people who register for the M4 Summit at drmonicajackson.com/M4 Summit will receive a copy of Wounds of Wisdom if they check that little box on the registration form.
Check the
So
box. Check the box.
I just want you to thank you, Robert, for today,
Wow.
and looking forward to your message and sharing. So people, please register. Thank you.